Okay, so the first thing on the blank part, find a blank part on your note page that I want to review is this real quick. So if I'm going to draw a square root function, if I'm going to draw it, where does it start? Where? 0, right? So it has to start here. And then what does it look like? Kind of makes like a little this, right? And so if I was going to write, that would be the square root of x. So if I wanted to graph, what would that look like? It would, across which axis, baby? X. So it's going to flip over this axis or this axis? This one, right? So this one's going to look like this, correct? So the positive version went up to the right and the negative version went down to the right. Now, if I was going to shift it right and left, where does that number go? Does that go in the square root or outside? Back and forth? Back and forth is an x and it goes inside. Up and down goes outside the square root. Okay? Now, what if I wanted to do draw that one? Oh, yeah. Tell her it's the handwritten ones, and then this is the second page. Okay, Okay, so what about the cube root? Holly? Where's the point that I need for the cube root? Where does it have to go, first of all? And then the cube root has this and this, right? So it's a square root with the extra part. So if I wanted a negative cube root, what would happen to this? So it would look like that, right? And if I'm going to move it in the x direction, that would go underneath the cube root. And if I move it in the y direction, that stays outside. And we did one more kind of graph. It was the cubic. And which way does that go? It goes up and down. So the positives all go up to the right, and the negatives all go down to the right. So if I want a negative, it's going to reflect and go this way. So all the positives go up to the right, and all the negatives go down to the right. Okay? All right, one other thing I want to review before I start today. If I'm simplifying the square root of 24, I'm simplifying the square root of 24. This is how we did this. Right? We simplified all the way down like this. And then what did we do from there? Once you have this, what do you do next? So the pairs get to go outside, right? So why did I pick that the pairs get to go outside? They're together, but we picked pairs because we're talking about the square root, right? And the square root, what's the number that's there? 2. We don't write it down, but it's a 2. And that's why I picked pairs. So if I was going to do this, And I use the exact same thing. This time I want the cube root of 24. So that means I need 3, not 2. So you get 3 to come outside. So do I have 3 2's? So I bring out 1 2, and who didn't have a partner? What is wrong? So you get the square root of 3. The square root of 3 didn't have a partner. So the number on the outside, that determines how many you have to circle. Okay? All right. Okay, so you're going to like today, and I'm going to like today too because I have a headache, and so this is easy peasy. So all we're going to do is we're going to rewrite rational exponents. So it sounds hard, but it's not. So whatever number is on the bottom, it always goes outside. So whatever's on the bottom goes on the outside. So this number is on the bottom, it goes on the outside. If you have one on top, it's going to go on the inside. Number on bottom, outside. So 36 to the 1/5. So the 5 goes on the outside, and you get 36. The 3 is on the outside. Do I have to put the 1 on the inside? No. What does x to the 1/2 mean? It's the square root of x. Do I have to put the 2? Do we have to write the 2 for square root? You don't, but this is 2. The square root's always 2. So this one, it's the 4th root of negative 8. So what's the bottom number here? 5. So it goes here. Does everybody get it? Okay, so negative, though, what do we know about the negative? Where do I have to move that? Is that hard? I don't want to do anything hard today. Can we all do this? We can move it to the bottom. So you move it to the bottom, and now it's positive. Whew. Holly, why are you asleep? Girlfriend. The negative, move it to the bottom. Yeah. Always. Switch what? Okay, so what am I doing? I'm not switching anything because this is negative and I can't have a negative exponent. So the 2 goes on the, is always on the outside, and the set right here, and the 7 is always there. Yes, because you can't have a negative exponent. So same thing here. Can't have a negative exponent. It's going to go on the bottom. So what goes in front? 4. Oh, 3, yeah. Always. This you always do have to do. You need the parentheses. That shows me it's the end of the square root. On all of them. You see how I did that? I put parentheses. All of them, you have to do that. Okay. So in keeping with we're doing nothing hard, now we're just going to write it the other way. So in parentheses, you have to put this. And where does the 4 go? So you put a 1 on top. Again here, I'm going to put parentheses around what's inside. The 3 on the bottom and the 1 on the top. And that's why you need the parentheses, because that 2's not outside, is it? The 2 is with the y. Put parentheses around what's inside. And what goes on the bottom? 5 and 1 on top. What do I write here? What's here, guys? It's not a 1. It's 2. We don't write it down, but it's always 2. It's a square root. Okay, so we're going to rewrite. So this, the parentheses here, what's the exponent? See, this time the 3 is outside the parentheses. So the 3 goes on top and the 4 goes on bottom. What is 6 halves? 3. So you reduce that. So when I write this one now, what do I write? This one's going to have a negative. So it's 3xy to the negative 1/2. That's the number right there.